You can never underestimate the effects that abandonment can have on an animal. Not only do they struggle to survive, but they have trouble figuring out whether their owners will return or not. Without knowing what lies ahead, they don't have much to look forward to. Emma Massingale, a farm owner from England, was certainly no stranger to this concept. So when a homeless cat crossed her path, she felt compelled to take him in. Little did she know, this adoption would lead to a very unlikely friendship with her other pet. Sadly, some people don't always have the resources to support their pets, and there's little hope for them unless they're lucky enough to find a new home. Animal lover Emma Massingale understands this completely. Emma learned that a 6-year-old cat named Louis needed help. His owner was no longer able to care for him, and was reached out to see if anyone could take the desperate feline. Emma, who hails from North Devon, England, jumped at the opportunity. After hearing the woman's desperate plea, she knew that she had to welcome the poor cat into her home. He had no other option. His owner then went through a separation and she couldn't keep Louis, so I, of course, said I would have him. Emma explained to reporters about the situation. Soon enough, he went to live on her farm with her other animals. Working as a professional horse trainer, Emma spent the majority of her time out in the stables, and Louis loved to tag along every time. It wasn't long before the cat had made himself at home. Emma was quick to note how Louis seemed to warm up to the large animals almost instantly. He started off just following me to the stable and walking along the walls or fences, nudging the horses with his head, she recalled. But Louis's affection for the horses didn't end there. In fact, it only grew. Then he started to jump on their backs and sit there or jump on and then off the other side to get somewhere, she said. He was becoming more comfortable with them by the day. It all started when I was riding Comet and I would just tap my leg and Louis would jump on, Emma said. Now all I have to do is tap Comet's back and Louis is straight there. He doesn't need any more encouragement than that. Just as much as Louis liked being around all the horses, they too enjoyed his company. But it was Comet who forged the tightest bond with the feline, and before long, the pair was spending practically every waking moment together. Emma would often spot Louis climbing onto Comet's back, and then the two would set off into the nearby woods for a stroll. This little cat was becoming quite the regular feline equestrian. There was one small caveat to Louis and Comet's rides. The cat didn't much enjoy the rainy English weather. He is a bit of a fair weather rider, Emma joked of Louis's riding preferences. Still, Louis was always completely comfortable when riding with Comet. The two animals would stroll through the scenic woods, taking in all the curious sights and sounds. They must have been a pretty remarkable sight themselves. Comet and Louis seemed to be a good combo, Emma said of the duo's adventures in the woods together. If he wants the horse to stop, he bites the pony's mane. It's crazy but funny to watch. Of course, like most cats, Louis tended to become distracted by other animals too. If Louis gets bored, he just jumps off, but he seems to love it as he stays up there for ages, Emma continued. Emma would come along for horseback rides alongside the cat, too. Sometimes we ride together in the arena, and other times out and about. And sometimes Louis and his brother Remy will ride together, she said. Emma mentioned that, often when the pair encountered new people, the strangers wouldn't even notice Louis perched on Comet's back at first. But once they did, their hearts would positively melt. The only thing they ever had to really worry about is curious dogs running after them. Otherwise, they were pretty much in the clear. I have to watch out for dogs, but Louis seems to like to ride, so he doesn't jump down when we are out, Emma said. While Louis most certainly wasn't your average cat, he did enjoy a good cuddle. I often find them nuzzling up together. I think horses like cats because they're so playful, but Comet really likes Louis. Louis's affection didn't stop with Comet, though. As much as he enjoyed cuddling up with Comet, Louis also liked to spend time getting cozy with Emma and the other animals on her farm. When he would arrive home from their journeys each day, he could often be found lounging around inside where it was dry. Louis and Comet's companionship might have been unconventional, but it was proof that friends can be found anywhere, and that every animal needs a good support system to be happy. Just look at how they ride together. Who would have guessed a horse and a cat could be best friends? They're the definition of what it means to have friendship goals. If you enjoyed this story, wait for our next story starting in 10 seconds. Babies are, almost by definition, the most vulnerable members of any species. They need a great deal of attention, care, and protection as they grow and develop, or else they just wouldn't last on their own. It's always important they have someone or something to look after them. When one Utah family found a helpless kitten outside their vacation home the morning after a huge snowstorm, they thought he was a goner. The poor thing was frozen stiff, and the family was devastated. But then, something strange happened to its body. One Thanksgiving morning in Garden City, Utah, the Bingham family awoke to find nearly a foot of snow on the ground. The children were excited to play in it, but as soon as they stepped outside, that all changed. Once the kids were bundled up, they ran outside, only to find a frozen kitten in the snow several feet from their porch. They called for their mother and Uncle Brandon, who immediately came out. Surely there was no saving the kitten's life, or was there? Surprisingly, the kitten wasn't dead. Brandon immediately scooped up the little guy in his gloves and quickly headed inside. Brandon was followed closely by the kid's mother, who was equally as concerned for the kitten's safety. She had no idea where the animal came from, but she knew time wasn't on their side. Brandon didn't hesitate once he entered the home. He headed straight for the living room fireplace in hopes that the warmth would breathe some energy into the motionless creature. Brandon gave the frozen kitten to his brother, Justin, who crouched down in front of the fireplace. There were still embers glowing from inside, and he carefully held the kitten closer to the heat. Justin, who had taken several veterinary classes in school, flipped the kitten belly side up. He used his fingers to support the cat's neck and then lightly administered chest compressions. Would it work? Justin performed gentle CPR on the animal for nearly an hour before wrapping him in a warm towel. The family desperately hoped that their efforts would keep the kitten going. The children's mother then gathered the kitten in her arms and softly stroked his head. The family refused to give up hope. It wasn't time to quit just yet. The kids then built a makeshift bed for the kitten using a cardboard box and a towel. If the kitten was going to pull through, they wanted him to feel comfortable in a warm, enclosed space. The family then had another idea. What would happen if they placed small pieces of food in front of the cat's mouth? Maybe the smell of the food would stir up some kind of response. After dropping tiny bits of food in front of the kitten's nose, he still sat nearly motionless on the towel. Everyone began to worry that the kitten's unresponsiveness meant trouble, but then something miraculous happened. Suddenly, the cat started to slowly squirm around. The family was astonished. For over an hour, he wouldn't move, but now he was finally coming to life. The Bingham family could not get over how the kitten, whom they named Lazarus, pulled through after such an ordeal. Thankfully, one of the family's cousins agreed to adopt him. So, what was life like for Lazarus after? Well, he absolutely loved every minute of it, especially the holiday season. He especially enjoyed playing in the Christmas tree, but would he ever play in the snow again? You might think that after such a harrowing experience, Lazarus wouldn't be inclined to go anywhere near the cold, white stuff. However, this guy wasn't your ordinary cat. Not long after his recovery, he was back outside, conquering the snow. Of course, his new owners made sure he didn't wander off too far considering his history with wintry weather. Although Lazarus enjoyed spending time running through snowflakes, he really liked to take walks when the weather was warm. However, he did get the jitters doing one thing. Lazarus didn't particularly like going to the vet. Can you blame him? No animal likes visiting the doctor, heck, neither do most humans. Even though Lazarus couldn't express it in words, he truly loved his new home. The family made sure the rest of his life was nothing but great memories. Thank goodness they didn't give up on this little frozen kitten. Happy endings are always awesome.